Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You're welcome to another beautiful edition of the Loud Whispers Show. As you already know, on this show we bring to you real stories of real life people talking about different shades of the human life experience, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So today I have a very interesting guest today who's going to be taking us through her road accident journey. She's going to be telling us how she was bedridden for close to 2 years and the recovery process and all of that. So she's no other person but the popular, industrious CEO of Basti Foods, Hajia Basirat Oyebanjo. And before I let you see my guest, I'd like to go on this very short break and we'll be right back.
A technically faulty events coverage is no value for money. A crispy, clear, high-definition production, live stream, or online conference is our business. iMedia Communications, the final frontier for video production services.
You're welcome back. We're still on the Loud Whispers Show. Like I said earlier, we have Hajia Basirat Oyebanjo, who is going to be taking us through her road accident journey, and she's going to be telling us how she was bedridden for almost 2 years and her recovery process. So you're welcome to the show, Hajia Basirat.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Okay, so like I said earlier, I introduced you. I said she's a popular industrial CEO of Basti Foods, the popular Basti Foods we all know. So I have said a little about you. Now, who is Hajia Basirat Oyebanjo?
My name is Basirat Oyebanjo. I am a mom to 2 girls, and I am an accountant by training and profession. I'm also an entrepreneur in the food industry. I run Basti Foods. It's a food stuff online store where we help the modern woman reduce her food shopping and cooking stress with our packed pots foods. I also run by the site a content creation business where I do some little video editing, content creation. I do some little trainings too, animation videos and stuff. So that's basically where I am.
Okay, welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you.
So now we're going to be talking about, you're going to be telling us about your road accident journey, how you were bedridden for close to 2 years, and the recovery process. So now we want to know, before the accident, what was it like for you? What was your life like? What were your aspirations? What were your goals? What level of the life were you?
Yeah.
Talking about educationally, financially, as a woman, and all of that.
2018, at the start of 2018, I became more aware of a lot of things in my life, my financial status, where I want to be. I actually did an audit of where I am. So it was a year that I set out to be very intentional about my life. I decided to be very serious with my Basti Foods business, even though it was like a side runs, but I decided to be more serious with it. That was the year I actually went on social media, and I was very determined to. And my workplace too, I was really like giving my best, looking towards climbing the ladder, So at the start of 2018, I saw a big picture of myself at the end of the year, and I was already working towards it until the accident happened.
Wow. Man proposes, God plans. Okay. So we understand what you were now before the accident. So how was this accident? I mean, how did it happen? When did it happen? Want a story around, want a narration, a deep narration of this accident?
It was a beautiful Thursday morning, the 15th of Ramadan that year, 31st of May 2018. Of course, Ramadan, we didn't go back to sleep after Sahur. I had to yes, I had a deadline at work. there was something I had to submit to my boss. So by 7 a.m. I'd left the house. So I spoke with one of my children's teachers who lives around us to drop the kids for her. We met at the bus stop actually. So I handed over the kids to her. So I was on my way out. But I wasn't very sure or decided about going out with the car, going to town to work with my car. So I was still thinking, should I not? So I ended up deciding, let me drop the car in the market and join the staff bus to work since I came out quite early. So I called the staff bus driver that I'll be joining him since I do not join them regularly. So I had to inform him ahead.
Okay, you drive to work?
I do sometimes. And when I don't, I actually go by public transport. I really don't. Sometimes I don't like the rush of 7:30. So I just take my time. Okay. So I called him that, I'm quite early today. I'll join you guys. So I dropped the car in Duse Market. My sister has a shop there, so I just parked the car there. And I stepped out, flagged the bike. And I boarded. And usually when I board the bike, I just tell them, kada kada. That's small. In Hausa? Yes, kada is Hausa. So I flagged the bike and boarded the bike. And it was practically I'm sure it's less than a minute's journey.
What area was that?
Just from Duse Market, there's a place where they used to sell ram in Duse. There's a little bypass that goes to Kubwa. Yes, so just by that bypass, maybe past the bypass, there was a car that probably had some issues. So the driver wanted to check what happened. So it was parked, of course, on the slow lane. Let me not call it fast lane.
Properly parked?
Wasn't that usually it didn't clear. It was supposed to probably clear onto the covert. Oh. So it was on the road. The road is just something that would take like normally 2 cars. Okay. So it's not. So it was parked, and because we were on bike, yes, we were following that other extreme now. We're not on the fast lane. Yes. So that was where it was, and then he opened the door of the car. So we actually saw it, but we were very close, like we were too close. So the bike was saying, this man, oh. But even before he said that, and usually what I thought was, okay, already we saw it happening. It was too late, but I was expecting that, okay, we'll fall and stand up and dust our body and then go on. But it didn't happen that way. The next thing I could remember afterwards was I felt people carrying me. I felt pain on a part of my body, and they told me to talk. So my phone was locked, yes. So I was still a bit conscious to tell them my password. They opened it and looked for the last person I spoke with. So when they called the person, I think the person was saying she was probably apprehensive over the phone. They were telling her, no, she's okay. She now said, give her the phone, let me talk to her if she's okay. So I spoke with her, I said, just pray for me. Because that was the only thing I could, I hope I'm not going to die. So that was that. And then we proceeded to the hospital. They took me to...
So was it like a busy road?
It was 7:30 a.m. in the morning. It was a busy time.
Okay, people were commuting?
People were going, yes. It was a very busy time. So what actually happened from what I eventually heard was, after we ran into the car door, I was flung onto the road, and there was actually an oncoming vehicle. In fact, I heard it was an army convoy. They were on an assignment. So I heard I was, I don't know, I fell on the road. Then one of the cars actually dragged me. I was just lucky it didn't probably run over my head. So it dragged me for some meters before it stopped. What I heard, that one of them actually ran over me. I think that's why I broke my 2 legs. So that one went. So there's the other one that probably, I don't know, but I lost almost the entire flesh on my left arm. So I heard I was dragged. It dragged me for some time before before it altered, and then that was when they carried me.
So did that vehicle stop?
Yes. In fact, the man followed me to the hospital. He made sure that because hospitals were on strike, so all the government hospitals were not working. So when they took me to General Hospital Gwarimpa, those ones said they were on strike, but they parked. There's something they do like a first aid.
So let's talk more on that scene, on that accident scene. Usually when bad things happen on the road. These days, everybody's trying to
bring out their
capture it
phone.
and all of that.
Yes.
Did you feel like people came to your rescue immediately?
I wasn't conscious to that extent. Like I said, the moment it happened, the next thing I remembered was when I felt them carrying me into the car.
Body pains?
Yes, and I felt serious pains on this arm. I felt the pain all around.
But you could see consciously?
No. I can't recollect seeing anything. The only time I can say I saw anything was by the time they placed me in the car. And then I felt they brought out my phone from my bag. Then called somebody, and then when I spoke to the person, that was all I could remember. When I spoke to the person, and yes, when they called my children's teacher's husband, our husband called her, that somebody called, and coincidentally, you know the way we relate to ourselves and we don't know our names.
Yes.
So, usually, okay, Mommy Farida, that's what he knows me as.
Mommy
Actually, Farida.
Oh, Farida.
He doesn't know my first name. So when they told him that, Basura, they brought out my purses and my ID cards. So when they were mentioning my name, he said, he doesn't know. And now I was a bit conscious. I said, tell him Mommy Farida. Because, so that was, but he was confused. So he now called his wife. The wife now called my phone. So when she called my phone, they picked it, and she was saying, like, they said something happened to the owner of this phone. They said, no, she's okay. No, if she's okay, let me talk to her. So that was when they gave the phone to me and said, talk to your sister. And I told her, just pray for me, just pray for me.
You were not crying at this point?
No, I wasn't so conscious. I really actually wasn't so conscious. I was just in between, kind of. I wasn't gone, like, not being there. But I wasn't there in terms of full consciousness. No, I wasn't.
Okay, so let's say we have come to the heights of the accident. She has narrated how it happened, and before she was taken to the hospital. So let's go on this very short break, and we'll continue when we come back.
In the 21st century, you are not limited by your geographic location. With an effective use of media and the internet, you can speak to billions of potential customers at a go. Invest in advert and broadcast to generate brand loyalty and company traffic. iMedia Communications is here to help you produce and broadcast promotional videos for your businesses fashioned just for you. We offer services in video production to clients from startups to businesses, NGOs, and government agencies with a focus on advertising, marketing, and documenting. Contact us today to keep your business at the top of your customers' mind, attract new people, and keep them up to date on your products and services. We are at the forefront of event coverage and live stream of your special occasions. When you think of video production and live stream, think iMedia. Contact us at www.imedianigeria.net or info@imedianigeria.net or dial 0810-450-8155 or 0816-681-5377. At iMedia Communications, we don't give excuses. We simply get the job done in style.
Welcome back. It's still the Loud Whispers show, and we're talking about Hajia Basira's experience with an accident, a very ghastly accident. So you were saying, at that point where you last remembered yourself, did you feel anything throughout the journey to the hospital and all of that?
I think after we left the accident scene, I really don't think I was present like that. But it's just like when you are sleeping on a journey.
Yes.
When the car halts, somehow you wake up. Yes. So when each time they got to an hospital, I would kind of feel a bit more conscious.
It was different hospitals?
Oh yes, actually it was, I went to it was on the third hospital that I was admitted. Yes, the first hospital was Gwarinpa General Hospital. So they said hospitals were on strike, I remember. So they couldn't accept me. So they just put some little first aid and packed the legs. You know the way they pack broken legs with carton? So they did something like that and told them to take me to Nisa Premier. So when we got to Nisa Premier, Nisa said they don't do orthopedics. So Nisa referred them to take me to Gariki Hospital. So coincidentally, Gariki Hospital is my normal hospital that I use. That's where I have my insurance and all the stuff. So when I got there, So like I said, usually when they halt at those hospitals, I become a bit more conscious, kind of. So when we got there, I was still a bit conscious to give them a card number. So they were able to open up my whatever and start documenting the process. Of course, they weren't talking to me afterwards until I think the last I remember was when the doctor was asking if he should cut one of my ears or not. So I think afterwards they gave me something that made me sleep.
So you were able to reply when he asked that?
Yes, I did.
So he asked if you...
He said, should he remove it or should he cut it? I was like, cut it.
Wow. Okay, so now, at this time, what was going through your mind? Because, of course, I don't know if you were told that you have a broken leg. Were you aware of...
No, as at that time, I wasn't aware.
Just know that you...
I just know I was in pains. That was the only thing. Then I had a feeling that this hand was really bad. But with all sincerity, I didn't want to be ungrateful. So even after I became very conscious, for like a month, I never used to look at this hand. Wow. I never used to look at it for like a month. Because I know it was really bad. So I don't know how bad it was. And I didn't want to look at it. And then when I see how bad it is, I will now start feeling kind of, I don't want to be ungrateful. I don't want anything that will ever make me not appreciate the fact that I did not die. So I didn't used to look at it.
So at this point, when you were admitted, what was going through your mind?
Until I woke up. Because like I said, the moment I spoke with the doctor, after he said, I wasn't conscious. The moment I spoke with him and I think they gave me something that made me sleep. Yes, I remember. They took me for x-ray. So, all the while we were going for the x-ray, I was feeling the pains. By that time, my office people had come. There was one woman, yes, I remember, there was one woman that came. When they heard I had an accident at the office, so they all came. It was early morning, so they just dropped, all of them just alighted from the staff bus, and they got the news. So they practically got into the staff bus back and rushed to the hospital. So when they came, they said, hey, there's one idea they are looking for. So she saw I was on the stretcher. So she was not like, is she the one? No, she no, she's on. And I looked at her and I said, Madam Lucy. She said, no, it can't be you. So she didn't recognize me to the extent of the damage, but I was able to recognize her. And she was like, no. So then I remember that when they were putting me on the x-ray table, I was crying. I said, please let them give me something. This pain is too much. I remember that. I said that. Yes, I remember. That please, this pain is too much. Let them give me something that will take this pain away. I remember that. So I think after the x-ray, they gave me something that made me sleep. And I remember that my uncle told me that they said it was supposed to last for some hours. They gave me a particular time. So after the hours went and yes, before the number of hours was due, I woke up. I think they said I was checking up, kind of like checking up from sleep. Yes. So they gave me another dose. So when they gave me that other dose, that's why I was away for a long time. But they gave me some hours. So he said after, it was like, you people said she would wake up after some hours. That I had to come and start pinching me. Then I moved my body. That was when it was okay. So I didn't know all this. They told me this until 10 p.m. That was when I woke up.
So at this time, you knew now that something had happened, something really bad had happened. So what was the thought in your head? Were you okay? What's going to happen to my bills? What about my children, my husband, my family, what was coming through your head? My plans, my job?
Well, I actually did not even think of all those things. Because my greatest happiness was the fact that I wasn't dead. That was just like, when I woke up, I saw my 2 legs bandaged. One had a POP, the other was just bandaged. Then my arm from the shoulder to this entire palm. It was only my fingers that wasn't covered. I was like, me. I was like, the moment I woke up, my uncle's wife was very happy. She jumped, they hugged each other. Then she called my sister and told her how she has woken up. I was just like, I saw my uncle. And that was another thing for me. To me, if I didn't have the accident, I may never think that my uncle could actually be that caring. He's actually a very busy person, so we don't always get to see him. So waking up and seeing him was like, wow, life is indeed good.
Wow. So let's say you were most grateful for life.
I was just grateful for my life. I was just grateful for my life. I was just grateful that I'm not dead. Like, this whole thing that has happened, and I still woke up back. So that was just.
You must really love life. Like, you are a very bubbly person. You like everything going on
I
in
love
your life.
life. Oh. I won't lie to you.
Of course, alhamdulillah.
And I know that once there is life, see, whatever it is, as long as you've not lost your life, anything can happen. Even if people say this thing cannot happen, miracles could actually happen and make it happen. But once you are dead, if they are buried you, that's the end. Though. Even if you wake up inside your grave, they are buried you, you just end up dying a second time.
Okay, so at this time now, what was your support system like?
My support system. I'll say something here. You know, usually when we talk about what are the most important things to us in life, you say, oh, once you have life and you have good health and whatever. But for me, I'm changing it. So when you are alive, even if you do not have good health and you have wonderful people around you, I tell you, life will be sweet. Oh, you probably remember less that you do not have good health, even though good health is equally important. From my uncle, my sister, then the social organizations I belong to, Micah, there's one in Ujabao in Lagos. They're like an alumni of my high institution. Then WhatsApp groups. There's a saying that they used to say in Yoruba land that no, honestly, the support I got, one of the WhatsApp groups raised like 600K out of this 800,000 that they raised for me. They raised 800,000 in less than 2 days, in less than 48 hours. My school alumni raised 500,000. Then I had, even after they said, okay, they've gotten the money and people should stop donating, people still kept on donating. Some people asked for my personal account numbers, and the best thing that happened to me after the life I got were the people around me.
Alhamdulillah. So for you, it is God and the good people.
No.
The good people. So, okay, we're still talking about Hajia Basira's story, and we'll go on another very short break, and when we come back, we'll continue.
An-Nur Masjid, located in Abuja, Nigeria, the heart of the most populous country in Africa, is a center of excellence promoting unity, education, and empowerment. The current inner capacity of 1,000 worshippers is grossly inadequate, and an expansion program to 10,000 is now being embarked upon. This is an opportunity to earn bountiful reward from Allah by partnering with us to expand the masjid. The project is estimated to cost $7 million, and we call on you to donate generously through the following project account.
أيها الذين آمنوا لا تلهكم أموالكم ولا أولادكم عن ذكر الله ومن يفعل ذلك فأولئك هم الخاسرون وأنفقوا مما رزقناكم من قبل أن يأتي أحدكم الموت فيقول رب لولا أخرتني إلى أجل قريب فأصدق وأكن من الصالحين.
You're welcome back. It's still the Loud Business Show, and we're still with Hajia Basirat Oyebanjo. So you were saying at the accident scene, it was a collision with your bike, of course you were on a bike, and then a driver who opened the car door. There was a collision, and then you were flung onto the road, and subsequently was dragged by a military convoy who was moving. So what was the impact of the accident on these people? What was it like for the car driver? What was it like for the bike man, the bike driver? And then what was the impact of the military in your accident?
The bike guy, I don't think he had serious injuries like that. I think I was told he just had maybe like a wound on his leg or something. But for me, the driver, I don't think he had, because he was definitely still in his car, opening the door of the car, so no issues with him. So I think I had the greatest impact. I learned that it was actually a military convoy, and I learned the first one actually ran over me. I think that's why I broke my 2 legs. So I think it was the second one that, yes, I think while he ran, I don't know how he ran over me. I was told a vehicle actually dragged me. So I don't know if it's the second one that dragged me or the first one, but that it dragged me for some meters before the vehicle came to a halt. And of course, when you get to the hospital, doctors will ask what happened. And when I asked for my medical report, when I needed it, I saw that narration like that I was dragged for some meters before it came to a halt. So I think that's why I lost almost the entire flesh on my left arm.
So what was the military people's impact? Did they stop immediately?
Yes.
Did they assist you?
So the military guy actually carried me. I think the first one left. Because like I said, they were in a convoy. So the first one left. The second one carried me and took me to the hospital. And like I said, hospitals were on strike.
Yes.
So the few private hospitals that were working were actually filled to the brim.
Oh.
Yes, I even heard somebody was receiving drip on the floor. Like they gave him mat on the floor. But I heard this military man, when they said no space, I brought out his gun. I said, oh, yeah, start treating her now.
Wow.
If you don't treat her, I'm not leaving here.
Wow.
Then I also learned that, like I told you, they were actually on an assignment.
Yes.
And his boss was calling him. And he said, no, he has to see to the end of this. And his boss was like, is the person your mother? Drop her at the nearest hospital and start coming. But stop. The way Allah does his things. Because people were surprised that a military vehicle ran over you and waited and carried you to the hospital. But see, Allah does his things and he perfects it. When he brings his trials, he will just be patient.
Yes.
He will attach solution to it.
Yes.
Alhamdulillah.
That's very true. Okay, so Alhamdulillah, of course you're here today narrating this story. That's enough reasons to be grateful to Allah. So let's talk about your healing process. Of course, we understand that you were in the hospital for some time. How long was it, and what was that experience like? What was your healing process, and what are the contributory factors to your healing?
Firstly, I am eternally grateful to Allah because I know that I enjoyed divine healing. I know that because the way even the flesh on the hand, the way it came back, with the severity of this accident, I actually spent just 19 days. In fact, when they said they were discharging, when people heard I was discharged, it was like so quick. Then it was like, it's not as if, but with the severity of that accident, they didn't expect that I would be discharged. Less than 3 weeks, I was discharged and I already had the surgery. So, alhamdulillah, I thank Allah because I believe I enjoyed divine healing. Then the people around me, they were awesome. They gave me moral support, and like I said, I got a lot of financial support. So we didn't have any itch when it comes to, they need funds. We didn't have any itch. Then my family, my uncle, for the first 3 days, he didn't go home. He was there for the first 3 days before I started, okay, who will be here during the day, and then he was always sleeping with me at night because you know how hospitals can be. They can come 2 a.m. and say you need one drug. They won't tell you. So you had to drive. You would drive to pharmacies and go and get the stuff.
So your uncle, was he your only family in Abuja at that time?
He's like my father figure in Abuja.
Oh.
So my younger sister was the other family I think I have. So just him and my younger sister. But my friends, oh no, they also tried. I have friends that they marked attendance at the hospital every day. Those things basically made it easy for me. Honestly. So I'll say, alhamdulillah, I'm grateful to Allah, my family, and my social support system, my car, and people sent delegates from Lagos. Like they sent somebody that was coming, come and check her and see how she's doing. So all those things, I was never, then when my friends come around, I talk as if there's nothing wrong with me. The way I would talk and gist, you even know that. Apart from the fact that my legs were bandaged, I always had so much energy anytime they come around. I don't even remember that there's anything wrong with me. So, I believe all those things because healing is firstly psychological before physiological. So I actually believe those things really helped me.
Explain that better.
See, when there's something wrong with you, your healing is first from your psyche. Your mind, yes. It actually helps. Even sometimes we have seen people that complain, they have different complaints and they go to the doctor and then they do all tests and there's actually nothing wrong with them. But they are not feeling well. Personally, that happened to me a long time ago. I had a lot of personal issues there. I was always feeling like something is wrong with me. But by the time I went to see the doctor and we got talking and gisting, I felt fine without taking a single drug or injection. So I believe that the fact that the people around me made it like there's no problem.
Financially, there was no hitch.
There was no itch. I always had people around me. Everything I wanted to do, I got people to do it for me. I actually had people doing it for me. My kids, the teacher took them in immediately. So they were like, I wasn't nothing. Oh, how are my kids doing? My mind was addressed that they are in safe hands. They were there all through the almost 2 years.
Wow.
They were with their teacher.
Wow.
So, and I knew that was home. It was home away from home. Fine, there's no place like home. But my mind was at rest that they were at home away from home.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, so now, talking about your divine healing, was it just a miracle, or there were stages to this healing?
Yeah, of course, I'll say there were stages.
So how long did you spend in the hospital? Did you have to come back? Did you have any problem along the line? The doctors, how cooperative were they with you?
The first admission, I spent 19 days. That was less than 3 weeks. But I was discharged, so I was going as an outpatient. Then I was going to dress the hand too. I was actually going basically for the hand dressing. Afterwards, the legs, after 6 weeks. Yeah, let me mention this very part. That was after the surgery. The doctor came and he said, "Madam, assume that you do not have legs for now. This one, 6 weeks. This one, 3 months." It sounded blunt, but well, I didn't need any patching of the truth. I needed to hear the fact. So all those times they carried me. In fact, when we first started, somebody will carry the right leg, somebody will carry the left leg, and somebody will carry my body. 3 people had to carry me. So that was also, once they drop me on the bed, I would just be there. If I need to use the convenience, somebody has to come, lift me up, put a potty under me, and then when I'm done, clean me up. Then when I left the hospital, I had a catheter. That was for my urine. So, of course, when it's full, somebody has to empty it. But at the point, it started giving me infections. So the doctor said they had to remove it. So they removed it. And so every time I want to wee or pee, and yes, let me mention this, I was always scared to drink water. I was always scared to take milk, as beneficial as it could be for me. Because I know if I take milk, normally, after you want to visit the toilet. Yes. No, not even like, but normal. There's a way milk works with your system. Not like it will disturb me, but normally, yeah, it works more like close to the way vegetables work. Okay. Yes, so, I will not take water. I will just be taking small water. I will say, take it, don't worry, I will come and carry you. So, those periods, I was coming as an outpatient. Then after 6 weeks, he loosened the stitches, and then all the while too, my legs were always straight because the injury here was beneath the knee. I was just lucky that my kneecap wasn't broken. I was just like very lucky. It was just directly the next bone. There's a joint. Yeah. So just the next bone, the top of it, but not my kneecap. That was where I had the fracture. There was a fracture up. So they had to brace it. There was an implant like this. There was another implant like this. After 6 weeks, they loosened the bandage, and they were always packing it with plenty cotton wool so that something to protect the knee, So after 6 weeks, they loosened it, and then he bent the knee. When he bent it, it was as if the knee wanted to break. My muscles were shaking, like my legs were shaking like this. I said, don't worry. So he bent it and said I should always bend and straighten it now. That was 6 weeks. At 3 months for the other leg, we did the x-ray and he said it was fine. After that 3 months, I could start a rewalking exercise. So they referred me back to the physiotherapist.
Yes.
So I started that process. And everything seemed to do well. Kind of. It did well. Until 9 months later. I was actually walking. Everything seemed fine.
Already walking?
I was walking, yes. I was just... In fact, my doctor was like, it's only if I feel I need a support that I should get a walking stick. So I just had that walking stick, but I could actually walk without it. Until 9 months after, I started feeling pains walking. So I felt, because I had stopped my physiotherapy,
yes.
So I felt that was what caused it. So I was talking to another physiotherapist to resume sessions with me. But at a point, the pain became so much and I couldn't walk without an aid, even within the house. So I was like, let me go and see my doctors. So I went to see the doctor and then he told me to go and do an x-ray, gave me some analgesics and said, okay, do this x-ray and come back next week. So I stepped out of the consulting room. He just called me back. He said, no, the way your leg is bow, go and do this x-ray and see me tomorrow. Then I went to the x-ray room. Then by the time I finished the x-ray, I could barely walk. So they had to quickly bring the vehicle close to me and support me. By the time I got back home, I had to get back my walker. There's a 4-corner stuff. Yes, I had to get it back. I couldn't walk alone. By that time, I was beginning to feel sad that what is happening again. So the second day, I went to the hospital. So my uncle told me, go and see that first consultant that we were seeing, that I should insist that is the one I wanted to see. So I went back to the hospital and they called the consultant for me. So I already had the x-ray results. By the time I said, so when he came, I was like, what's wrong with you? Because by the time I was talking with the nurse, I was crying. So they said, you are crying. The doctor, I love him. He has a way of making everything seem like there's no problem. Yeah. So what happened? I just gave him this thing. We went into the consulting room. Just slotted into the system rather. And as he came up, he just put his hands over his head. And, his hands were on his head and his head was bowed down. And now looked at me. I said, iron broke. Well, at that point, funny enough, I started smiling. I said, at least now we know what is wrong. So, I said, we have to remove it. So that was how.
Another one?
So he now said he was going to use one elastic screw or something, He was thinking of what was going to be the best approach, but of course they had to remove it. It was broken. So I think at that point, the bone did not heal completely. But it looked as if it healed, but it didn't heal completely. Because ordinarily, at 9 months, the bone was supposed to have been fully healed. So it actually didn't heal completely. We didn't know. So when I started bearing weight little by little, the implant failed, the implant broke, and the bone actually broke too. So that was how I was back to square one. When I got back home, my uncle was mad. So that was how I started. I remember initially the doctor I saw first told me he diagnosed a limb shortage. And he told me that I needed, what do they call this thing? This thing they used to put on shoes. Sole lift or something, I can't remember. That I needed it as a matter of urgency. And that the person that he could recommend for me is in Gwagwalada. My head was just spinning. That Gwagwalada from Kuba that I live. I was just thinking in my head. Then that was until he now called me back that it looks like this is a more serious case. So I called some of my friends. Do you know where I can get this? I called a physiotherapist friend too. I shall call the people in my contacts, So everybody was calling me back to find out how far have you found an ortho. I think they call them orthotist or something. Have you found one or something? And I told them, no, the implant failed. Wow. So they all, at that point, everybody, like I said, a step backwards.
Square one.
Yes. But like I said, my support system,
back again.
Immediately, they started calling the orthopedic doctor that they know. And one of them called our sister that worked in Igbobi. They started calling people for me. One of them called his friend that is a consultant in another hospital too and said, go and see him and hear his opinion. I got support. So I started seeking second, third, fourth opinion. But At the end of the day, we had to settle for the surgery.
Another surgery?
Yes, another surgery.
So how long did that last?
I think I spent about 2 weeks looking for the opinion because myself too, I went to but about 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, yes, I had the surgery.
And you were discharged in
5 days. Funny enough, I didn't stay long on that surgery. I was discharged after 5 days.
healing process?
Yes. But that second time, it was a bit tough. I had to take blood. I had reactions to the blood I took. Like, it came out like, they had to give me something that they used to treat poison. My body started swelling after I took the blood. My body started itching me, and then my face doubled in size. And plenty stories, but alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. But you know what happened that second time? I was just like, this thing is not going to stop me. So I think I made use of that second bed, that state.
Bedtime, yes.
Yes. So, you know, already, like I told you that year I had great plans for Basti Foods.
Yes.
So I was still, those things were still in me. So already, yeah, we're already in 2019. So, you know, the plans I carried over from 2018, at the beginning of 2019, I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm going to take on this year, like. So I enrolled for some courses and all the stuff before the implant failure happened in March. But like, I was like, I'm not stopping. In fact, on the hospital bed, I was posting content on the hospital bed. So when I post, people say they want to buy something.
Wow.
Then I will call my sister. Oh yeah, go and measure Gary.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
I just continued.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah for grace.
Alhamdulillah. You sound like a very grateful person. You're
Alhamdulillah.
always happy and all of that.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah for that. Okay, so now what's your advice for people who are currently in this situation? I mean, people are, if you go to the hospital now, I'm sure we'll find many people who are currently in this situation. What would you tell them as a person who has been through this experience? What advice would you give them?
Firstly, not a leaf falls from a tree except that Allah knows about it. So no matter what, Allah is aware. Forget about it. Nobody can do you. Nobody can be responsible for your situation. Yes, you may have people, you may have something, you know, see, alhamdulillah, because one of those things that helped me, one of my friends came and told me, don't forget, so she reminded me, don't ever forget your salat, even though you are on your bed, like you are bedridden. So she reminded me of that. And then another person came and said, nobody is responsible for what is wrong with you. It can only be Allah. So, you know, those things kept on, you know, it kept on coming back to me that Allah is aware. And another thing that helped me was it could have been worse. You know, I mentioned the gift of life being the best gift. But you know, I could still be alive and my spinal cord could have been broken. Or the doctors will say, oh, we can't fix this leg, we have to cut it. I'm still alive. Like, there's still that gift of life. So I was able to see, then each time at the hospital, I always see something that I hold on to, and because there was one man that still makes me grateful. You will still see people that are in worse cases than yours. So each time, one good thing that helped me was being grateful. I always saw a reason to be grateful. And I kept on expressing. In fact, the first time when I was walking, you know, I was walking before my implant failed.
Yes.
Somebody saw me. She saw me when I was on wheelchair because I was discharged on wheelchair. She saw me. She was like, is this not you? You are walking. I said, yes, it's so fast. Wow. I said, thank God. Usually, anytime people say, you are walking, I was always quick to thank Allah. I say, it's God though. So when my implant failed, I said, well, Allah, you know that I never felt, when they say you're walking, I never did like, oh yeah, I'm walking. I never did something like that. I was always saying, it's Allah. So I said, you see that even when I was walking, I was humble.
So first advice is be grateful.
Be grateful because he's actually aware. And when you are grateful, you get more. So if you are grateful for this little health you have, even if it's your sanity, because imagine, I could have lost my sanity. The things happen to me and they said they've lost their memory.
Yes.
But that didn't happen. You know, it was just the legs. Like I said, it could have been worse. They could have said, oh, we have to cut these legs. But then I'll still be saying, oh, alhamdulillah, I'm grateful for my life. But it could have been worse. So imagining there's one man that I met in this one. The man said he doesn't have feelings when he wants to defecate. He doesn't know. The thing will just come. Me, I still, you know, So I kept on seeing something that would still make me, even though I was bedridden or confined to a
Are
wheelchair.
you saying they should be looking around them to see what situations?
Yes, there is always, even if you can't see, think and imagine. There are worse situations.
Maybe not capitalize on worse situations. Just think for the gifts that you have.
Yeah, and be grateful for it.
Okay, so is that your only advice for them?
Which other advice will I give them? I think that gratefulness did it all. See, this gratitude mindset, it does a lot. I'm telling you. There was time I was keeping a journal. So each time I write something, and it really helped me. And sometimes because the truth, let me tell you one truth. I had low moments too in between. It's not like I was always like, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. But Allah helps me to actually come back to that gratefulness. Because even recently, like about a month ago, thereabouts. Because if I don't take my vitamins, sincerely, my leg still pains me. There was time I stopped taking it. Like, am I going to be on drugs for the rest of my life? So I didn't take it. Then I started feeling pains. So when I went to complain, my doctor recommended the drugs for me back. Then when I started taking them, I felt better. In 2 days, I felt very well. So there was a day, I was like, will I be on this? And the fear of an implant, I still have implants in this leg. So, but this one, I don't have implants again because they fixed it, and after they removed it, but I still nurse fear of this implant breaking. Is a psychological fear, The fact that one broke in my leg before, like this one that I still have iron inside. Let it not go and break, So is that psychological fear is there. So the time I was like, am I going to be on these drugs? Then I told myself, I told myself, I said, stop being ungrateful. So those times do come. There are times I wish I can jump and run and, but I'm like, I can see my children. They can see me. We can hug ourselves. We still do things together. I can act as mother for them. I'm still relevant in my place of work. Even if I have this little pain in my leg, I think I have more things to be grateful for. So for me, the gratitude mindset did it. It does it all the time. Even when I'm falling into those low moments, I still look back and I see what I'm grateful for.
So, alhamdulillah, you are an advocate for the gratitude mindset.
Yeah.
So if you are in this situation or in a worse situation, you must maintain the gratitude mindset. Be grateful that you have what you have now, because it could be worse. Things could be worse. So alhamdulillah, thank you very much for coming on the show today, Haji Basti. So before we go now, let's talk about you. What are you presently? I mean, after the accident, what are you presently?
Alhamdulillah, the accident, the stay-at-home period, the bed-ridden period, was a period of rediscovery. There was a part of me I never knew existed, and I discovered it while I was bedridden. I never knew I could write great content, but because I was bedridden, the only companion I had was my phone. So I was always pressing my phone. So I was okay. What will I do? Let me be selling markets now. I was always churning out content for my Basti Foods brand. After all, my 9-to-5 job was on pause. So I was always doing something for Basti Foods. And then each time I write content, people like, wow, great content. Wow. Like that. Though my Basti Foods business was doing well. It did very well during that period. Because I was able to, I didn't, my 9-to-5 was on hold. So all my time was just dedicated to that.
Yes.
Then afterwards, the second time after the implant failure, I told you that I had planned a lot of courses that I was to take for my business development. So I just continued. I was doing a lot of it. Then I took animation courses, how to do 3D animations.
Yes.
And when I did it and I put it out, people were like, wow, can you teach me? That's how I was making money on my bed without legs. So I did like, I'm telling you, and then yes, another thing I did in between it, I wrote a book on content creation that December. I wrote a book.
While on the sick bed?
Yes, I wrote a book. Then I used to take, like I said, I used to teach people animation. And so from there, that was how I actually birthed a new business idea. Because I'm not very serious with it. But basically, recently I took voiceover classes. Wow. And I want to improve my video editing skills too. In fact, like I said, I discovered a completely new part of me. And I'm sure if I didn't have that accident, I wouldn't know. So even right now, as I today, I have somebody still contacted me and say, do this animation video for me. So,
Wow. So it was a blessing in disguise.
yes, it was. It really was. It
You know what
was.
they say about the hard blessings. You
It
don't know
was.
them until it happens, and then you're feeling bad at first, and then it becomes like, oh, wow, I really didn't see this coming. It was a blessing in disguise. So alhamdulillah, we've come to the end of the show. Thank you so much, Haji Abasi, for coming on to this show. We are really grateful, and we appreciate that you were here to talk about your story. So, viewers at home, we've come to the end of the show. We hope that you find this episode very interesting. And until the next episode, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.